Okay, I've got a really fun idea for you today. We're going to make a cauliflower pizza crust. Seems pretty simple, and I've never tried it before, to be quite honest with you, but I'm excited to try it. My husband and I are trying to eat a little more healthy, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to experiment with this, and our vegetables being the theme this month. That's kind of a fun idea. So first of all, I'm going to use the Flavor Pack vegetable cauliflower. I have gone ahead and let this thaw just so it'd be easier, because what you're going to do is put it in a food processor, which we'll try right here in a second, and you're going to kind of pulsate it until it becomes kind of like Pop Rocks, if you know what those are at. Just little fine pieces. And I need 2 cups of cauliflower kind of pulsated like that. So we're going to go ahead and try that. And see how it comes out. My food processor is kind of old, but it works still. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some in there. Now you can do this with fresh cauliflower too, but I wanted to try our frozen cauliflower because here we have it and available right in your freezer, and you can try it out. So we'll go ahead and try that and pulsate it. Okay. I got those all pulsated. A bag, this is a 2-pound bag. It gave me about 4 cups of cauliflower, I don't know what you want to call it, just pulsated cauliflower, kind of little granules. It is our number 6383. It's $4.99 a bag, and it's really convenient to have. Now what I'm doing now is it takes two cups for each pizza crust. It's going to be about a 10-inch pizza crust. Now because this has a lot of liquid in it, because it's a frozen vegetable, you need to get the liquid out and dry it out as best you can. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can do it on this, as you see I'm doing it in the frying pan. No liquid added. I just threw the cauliflower in there, medium heat. You're kind of just stirring it to let it dry out. It's getting a little darker as we go. You don't want it terribly dark, but you do kind of want it a little roasted. The other way you can do it is to put it on a parchment sheet, on a cookie sheet, parchment paper on a cookie sheet, and put it in your oven. Roast it about 375, and it'll take probably, depending on how wet the cauliflower is, probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. I've been doing this about 8 minutes so far. It's almost dried out. You want it to dry as best you can so that it binds really well when you go to bake it, because we're going to bake it after we form it. So I think we're almost there. So I'm going to go ahead, this is 2 cups, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my bowl. Let it cool a second. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my cheese in to the cauliflower. And it'll start melting. I'll cool it down a little bit and melt that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my eggs in there. Now your egg is what's going to bind you together, so going to keep it together as a crust, that and the cheese. And you can use other kinds of cheese, but you want to use a hard cheese so that it firms up when it cools and it sticks together better. Okay, then you're going to take a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper lined with parchment paper, and you want the parchment paper because when you pull it out of the oven, it's going to kind of it's going to stick to a pan, and so if you have the parchment paper, you can raise it up and pull it off a little easier. And I suppose you could do this on a pizza pan too if you wanted. I'm just doing it on a cookie sheet. So there we go. We've got a beautiful crust. Look at that, it's all probably about a 1/2 inch to a little more than a 1/2 inch thick. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven, and we're going to cook it at 400 degrees, and it's going to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. It will get just light brown, and then I'll pull it out and show you how it looks. I just got it out of the oven. It cooked for 15 minutes. You're just cooking it. Now it doesn't have any yeast, so it's not going to rise. So you're just wanting it to firm up. And you can see that it's firmed pretty good. I think it's going to cook another additional 10 minutes, but I think it's going to be great. So what we're going to do right now is go ahead and put our toppings on. I'm going to start with just a little bit of mozzarella cheese and put on the top of right directly on the crust. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in some pizza sauce. Now you can top it with whatever you choose. You could do barbecue sauce if you wanted a barbecue chicken pizza. You can do whatever, your basic pepperoni. I am going to do a little bit. I had a leftover chicken breast of the Mediterranean chicken breast that we sell, and I have half of one left, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut that up and put a chicken, so we'll have a chicken pizza on this cauliflower. And just diced up that chicken, and you could add some fresh basil if you wanted, some fresh mozzarella cheese, whatever you choose. I'm going to go ahead and just put on that chicken. This is just a simple one. Chicken and cheese. Now you're going to cook it an additional 10 minutes at 400 degrees. You're going to want to watch it kind of closely because you don't want the crust to get too dark. The longer it cooks, the crust, the very edges get really dark. So we'll watch that. I'll put it in and I'll show you what we have when we're done. It's all finished now. I cooked it an additional 10 minutes at 400 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead and just slide it off onto my cookie sheet, my cooling rack. Now you can just, if you don't want to do that, you can just go ahead and cut it right on the cookie sheet. But I just kind of wanted to pull it off. It's really hot. And there's my timer. Okay, so this looks really yummy, you guys. I'm so excited because I've never had this before. I'm just gonna cut it on this cooling rack, and I might have to sample a little taste just to tell you what it tastes like. Just a little sliver. Now you can see that I took that right out, and it's kind of, it's not like as firm as a real pizza is, I don't think. But let me cheat and get a fork and see how it tastes. Okay, so I could totally eat this. That's a winner. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun because it's just veggies. A little bit of chicken and veggies, so how fun is that? I think you're gonna like it. Get you some cauliflower, try it out, and I'll show you tacos on another time, but it's gonna be great. For another of our recipes today, I'm going to do a simplified veggie burger. These are things I've never done before with vegetables, and I think it's kind of fun that we can do these interesting foods, cauliflower pizza, veggie burgers, things that I normally wouldn't probably make, but I'm really excited about so far about the pizza crust, and so I think you're gonna really like the veggie burgers too. They use edamame and they use peas and carrots, and then a few seasonings, a little bit of breadcrumb. So it's pretty simple to make. You can go ahead and put them all together, put them in the freezer if you want, and then just pull them out when you use them. So either way, I'm gonna go ahead and blend them up. So I've got 3 cups of edamame and 2 cups of peas and carrots. What I did is put them in boiling water and kind of blanched them in essence, cooked them for 5 minutes, and then pulled them out, cooled them off, drained them, and now we're ready to go ahead and put them in the food processor and grind them up. Okay, I've got that all blended now. You can see that it is just kind of chunky, little bit small chunks, not too bad. We're gonna go ahead and add the remaining ingredients. Now, what you're going to use is 2/3 of a cup. Now you can use, this is breadcrumbs, just your basic plain breadcrumbs, but you can use oat flour, anything to add up to 2/3 cup. Oat flour or wheat germ, which I didn't have any. So I'm just using the straight breadcrumbs. Now, one thing I am gonna add that's different than the recipe is I'm trying to add a little bit more brown rice, things like that. So I have a 1/2 cup of brown rice that I kind of keep for when we want a little bit of rice. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add that in too. I think that'll add a little bit more meatiness, nuttiness to it. And so I'm gonna add that 1/2 cup of brown rice as an addition. And then we're gonna go ahead and add, so I have 2 eggs, 2 beaten eggs. We'll pour that in there. I have 2 good teaspoons, like full teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. pour that in there. And if it were me, I'd add a little bit more of that. And then our 2/3 cup of breadcrumbs. And then for my seasonings, I have 2 teaspoons of paprika. You can kind of see that. 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of hamburger seasoning. Last time I checked, there was some on the closeout, but I'm not sure if there's still any more there. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and then a little bit of oil, a tablespoon of olive oil to cook it in. So I'm going to go ahead and put the spices in there. And then we're just going to blend that together. Now, because I added that rice in there, I might have to add one more egg just to give it a little more stickiness. Okay, I am going to add 1 more egg to that just because I want to. It won't hurt it. I like, when I make meatloaf, I like it a little bit more moist. Okay, now this is supposed to yield about 6 burgers. We might get 7 or so out of it because I added the rice. But what you're going to do, so it's all blended. Now I'm going to just form my patties, and you can see that it's staying together really well. And I don't want huge ones. I probably should measure this out just to see what we're getting, but I would say it's about 3/4 of a cup in there. I have never had veggie burgers. This is kind of fun. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put them on a cookie sheet. You'll see just kind of sitting there on a cookie sheet and on parchment paper. Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish making those patties. Then I'm going to put them in the fridge and let them get cold. Now you can leave them in the fridge all day long if you want, or if you, at least an hour or 2 to get them to firm them up, because we want them to stick together really well, so that when we put them in the frying pan and cook them, they're going to be able to stay together, kind of like meatloaf, so they're going to stay together. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the fridge, and as soon as they're cool, then we'll go ahead and pull them out and I'll show you how to cook them up. The other one is these veggie burgers, and now you can put them in the fridge or you can put them in the freezer for about 30 minutes. I did them about 30 minutes. I'm just going to take one off the cookie sheet here, and you can see that it's just solid and like a burger. And I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the frying pan. Now what you do with these is cook them about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. You'll want to flip them about halfway, so let them sear on the one side and then flip them over, and they shouldn't take very long to cook because it's just vegetables, so they go quite quickly. The rest of these burgers, it made 7. I told you it called for 6, but because I added the rice to it, it made 7, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and just freeze those and try them out little by little. It's just my husband and I, so we'll go ahead and try them out little by little, but we will sample this one. Looks really good. So while that's cooking, I hope it's not too loud, I just want to talk to you a little bit about veggies. So we've talked a lot about different vegetables that we offer. We have a large variety of vegetables in our catalog, 2 pages full. And so you should be able to find fun things there that maybe you haven't tried. I also want to point you to the blends. They're called the Connoisseur Collection. We have garlic butter vegetables, the Baja roast mix. I love that. I throw it into a lot of different things. The rosemary vegetable blend, the Tuscan Asiago cream. And then we do have like the omelet blend, the mirepoix blend, which is also carrots, celeries, and onions, just for like soups, cut into smaller pieces for soups. There are so many vegetables, you guys. You should be eating vegetables. Vegetables are so healthy for us, and they help us in our bodies to be able to function better. Eating a variety of vegetables, some people only eat certain kinds, but if you'll eat a variety, you'll get better health that way. It's always been implied that fresh is always better. That's not necessarily true. The one thing about fresh is that it's not, if you go buy fresh, first of all, you're going to probably pay more for it. Number 2, it's not always available year round, so there's a limited availability. The convenience is sometimes difficult because you can't find what you're looking for. Frozen is just as good as fresh. Frozen is frozen at the peak of the life of that vegetable, so you're getting all the nutrients in it. And a lot of times they hold their taste and their flavor better. You'll notice if you go to the store and you buy fresh vegetables, you only have a couple days to be able to use those vegetables and get the peak performance out of them. Whereas frozen, you can just pull them right out of the freezer and use them anytime. They have more nutritional value in frozen than they do in the fresh value counterpart. So they have a longer shelf life. Like I said before, they're available out of season. There's so many ways to prepare them. For one thing, the pizza crust that I did earlier, you know, I wasn't sure it was going to work because they were frozen, because the recipe calls for fresh, but I'm just as impressed with the frozen, and I don't have to rush out and buy. I actually bought a fresh head of cauliflower because I wasn't sure if it was going to work. And do you know that cauliflower cost me $4 for one head of cauliflower? So what you're getting with the frozen is so much of a better deal and economically better for your family. You'll get the best performance from your frozen vegetables. You can steam them. I love to steam them. I love how they stay green. They hold their shape. They're just nice and just got a little crispness to them. You don't want to boil your vegetables. Boiling those vegetables adds a lot more water to them and makes them mushy. So you don't want to boil them. The best thing to do is steam them. Try to get in the habit of adding them at the end of your preparation so that they don't get cooked so long. Like if you're going to throw some veggies into a soup or something you're making, do it the last half hour, 45 minutes of the cooking time of your soup, and those vegetables will come out better. You don't need to thaw them. You can do everything from frozen state, which you've seen today. Most everything I did was from frozen state. And for bite-sized veggies like corn and peas, green beans, edamame, and little artichoke hearts, you only need to just thaw them and quickly steam them to get them ready to plate. If you cook them too long, they get too mushy. Using frozen is money saving. There's a few ways you can jazz up your veggies. Oh, I cooked that just a little too long. Okay, we're gonna flip that. Number one, I'm so creative today. You can get spicy. So add some Italian seasoning. You saw earlier on the chicken and vegetables, we added Italian seasoning mix to that. Or add some spice. Use your Cajun seasonings. Sprinkle them with grated cheese and a little bit of sour cream. Adds a lot to your veggies. Your kids won't even realize they're eating vegetables. Okay, and the next thing you can do is to butter it up. So because everything we eat is better with butter, as we all know, you can use the different compound butters. We've cooked with those in a couple of the different webinars. Add those spices to your compound butters and then put those in your vegetables. It adds a nice little layer to those vegetables. You'll like that. The next thing is to cream it. So just like the butter, cream enhances the taste of our vegetables. Add a little heavy cream. So if you're sauteing some veggies in a pan, add a little heavy cream in there and your guests are going to think they died and went to heaven. The cream will just enrich that vegetable. Okay, last but not least, crisp it up. So I am going to tell you, okay, I think these are done. I've got to get this off. So there is our veggie burger. Let me take this off before it burns. It's kind of hot. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but it looks good. Let me just go ahead and try and cut it and see. Okay, I'm going to sample you guys because I have to try this. Okay. I could eat this if I could put mustard and a little bit of pickles and stuff like that on it. It could do for a burger. It tastes more veggie than, I guess I've never had one, so I don't know what I'm tasting, but it tastes really good. It's got a little bit of meat flavor from the hamburger seasoning. It's a little crunchy from the edamame. I think you like it. I think you'll like it. You could put this on a bun and serve it that way, or you could actually just do it like on a plate with this and then add your condiments on top. I eat burgers a lot of time without a bun because I don't like the buns, but so yeah, looks good. So try that out. That was kind of fun. Okay, so last but not least, let me tell you about the Crisp It Up. So a few months ago, you know, my son works at Sundance, so a few months ago we went up and had dinner. He brought me out some Brussels sprouts it was an appetizer, and they were to die for. And I don't even like Brussels sprouts. I've never really been a winner of them. I love cabbage and stuff, but I've never really been into the Brussels sprouts. I asked him how they prepared them, and they deep fried them, so they crisped them up. So deep fried probably isn't the best healthy way to do it, but it made the outsides all crisp and just good, like a French fry kind of thing. And the Brussels sprouts were nice and tender on the inside, but crispy on the outside. And then they put a balsamic reduction over top of it. Now, I'm gonna do this just for a video for us, because I just want to try it myself, but I'm not gonna deep fry them. I'm gonna put them in the air fryer and see how they cook. So get adventurous and try something. Crisp them up. When you crisp them, when you roast them in the oven or you saute them, you add that crispness and it enhances the flavor. You can also sprinkle the tops with a little bit of breadcrumbs if you want, and crisp it that way too. That adds so much more. There's so many good things about vegetables. I've given you a few recipes at the end of this. You'll get those. And I just hope you get to be adventuresome and go out there and try all the different vegetables. You know, trick your kids. Make it a game and try and trick them into eating things that they don't think they like. Because once they taste it and it's prepared well and it has a good flavor, they will realize that they do like it. So it's always the sound of vegetables makes them not want to eat them, but they're so good for us. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've learned something, and thanks for coming, you guys. It's been great. Thanks.